This is a Guide Your Light network production, creating podcasts with purpose.
Hello, beautiful. This is the Awakening to More podcast, and I am Alicia Timmerman. Have you ever asked yourself, is there more, or thought to yourself, there must be more? In this podcast, we explore all of the areas of your life where you might be yearning for more. More meaning, more connection, more time, more growth and abundance, but also more patience, calm, peace, acceptance, and of course, fun. From spiritual awakenings and journeys, relationships, business, parenting, and all of the things. Join me as I share from my heart to yours, along with amazing guests, to help you find your own way home, to create a life you relish and love. Thank you for being here. Let's jump in. Hello, beautiful. Welcome to episode 5. The name of this episode is a funny one. Are you sucking the tea bag of your life? I'm going to have to explain this. What is she going on about with this title? So, I'm going to start with a story for this episode. I was on one of my retreats. This was, I can't remember, maybe 12 months ago, maybe more. And we were talking about life and talking about specifically the part of life involves tea drinking. And I feel like tea drinking actually is such a beautiful ritual across many cultures, from tea ceremonies to just having that break for yourself and sitting down and having a cup of tea. And there was one woman on this retreat who's actually become one of my closest friends now. She was talking about how she would often use one tea bag and then keep it in the cup and then later add another tea bag and again and again and again. And you might be one of those people who does that. I know Mark Temmerman definitely does that sometimes. I've seen 3 tea bags in the cup, or maybe 3's been the limit. And it just somehow turned into, over the retreat, I don't know if it was me or someone else, but then, I'm remembering it now. So then we were in like a pampering situation where there's a beautiful hammam, like a Turkish hammam, and the therapists were saying to this same friend of mine, so we're going to offer this and a face mask and a massage and this and this and this. These are the things that you can have, or you can say no to any parts of that. And she was like, yes, all of it. I'll take everything that you have on offer. And I think I said to her at that point, oh, you're really sucking the tea bag right out of it. Sucking the tea bag, which has come to mean this idea of really having the full experience. So whatever it is that you're doing, that's really the question that I want to pose today and to explore, is this idea of, are you sucking the tea bag of your life? Are you really getting the most out of it, squeezing all of the juice of your opportunity here to come and experience being in the human form? And it got actually funny because there was another woman that we were talking to at one stage and making this comment about, oh, you're sucking the tea bag. And she said, oh, do you do that? Oh, I do that too. But she was actually talking about the fact that she literally sucks her tea bag So when she's finished a cup of tea, she will get the tea bag and suck the tea bag, which is so good, so good. She's really taking it to the next level. So it's a bit of an analogy for this concept of really seizing the day and making the most of everything. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And think now about, out of all the humans you know, who are these people who really live life, really get right into the things that they are into. And it might be that there are people that you know that when they're into whatever it is, right, we go through phases, it's like all in, right in on that particular phase, or they have to know everything about that particular thing that they're into at the time. And I love it when adults still have that enthusiasm. But often if we think about it, the humans who are innately best at this, who are they, friends? They are the little ones, the kids. Kids just have this inbuilt way of being in the moment, being present, seeing the wonder of things, that childlike wonder, and having the awe. They wouldn't understand it to be awe necessarily, or that concept of awe. But this is something that I feel is lacking in our modern, busy, overscheduled, over-functioning world, where so many humans are too busy to experience the awe that is often right in front of their face. An example of this, parents, those of you who are parents. Kids want to go at a completely different pace often. They're not trapped like we are by time. They're not trapped by the concept of having to be here at a certain time. And they are very good at just being in the moment, right? So they might be walking to school and you might be like, come on, let's go. We're in a rush. We've got to hurry, let's go, da, 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 da. But for them, they're totally fascinated by whatever it is that's caught their eye, or the particular rock that they're kicking along. And that has its own pace, which doesn't accord with the pace of a tick, 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 clock, 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 got to be here, got to be there, da, 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 da. And they are our biggest teachers. Kids are our biggest teachers. If we were to just follow the breadcrumbs of signs from our kids about what they want to do, how they want to spend their day, the things that interest them, we would most likely discover different levels of beauty, different levels of awe, different things that we see, we sense, we feel, we hear, that on most days, most of us, we're missing because we're too busy, too caught up in all the things that have to be done, all the expectations, all the obligations, all of that stuff. And many of you will have heard of this. I remember reading about this back in like 2011, where I read something about one of the most famous violinists in the world who had the evening before played out to a packed out audience. Packed out audience, does that make sense? A packed out auditorium, maybe. And they'd all paid, a certain amount of money, whatever it was, to see this amazing violinist. And then the next day, this violinist was busking in like Grand Central Station or something like that. And people were just rushing by. And he noticed that there were some kids that wanted to stop and to listen. And the parents would hurry them along. Come on, we've got to go. We've got to be here. We've got to be there. We don't have time for this. And it really struck me when I read this, because it made me really think, Alicia, what else? What are you missing? What else are you missing? What else are you not seeing? What else are you not experiencing? Because you don't have time, because of the rush, go, move. So I want you to think about that for you. In all the rushing, are there moments that we're missing? Experiences not going to a level of depth that maybe it otherwise would. Interactions that maybe we're not seeing. Facial expressions on our loved ones. We're missing the cues. We're not seeing everything. We're not noticing. And even if we notice, are we stopping? Are we asking? Are we seeking to understand more in those moments? There's so much magic and there's so much beauty that is here available for us to see and to notice. But I know this to be true for me in each and every day. Even when I'm consciously trying, I want to suck the tea bag of life, but it's not always something that I can manage to do because of all these things, right, that we have to do. But what I can say is the more conscious I am about wanting to have more moments of awe and really just stopping as much as I can and taking it in. Those moments where you have those big events in your life, if it's a wedding, for example, or any other particular milestone, giving birth, if that's something that you have done, for example, and really just stop and just take it all in. Take these little pictures in your mind, taking all these memories, and that's at the end of the day, we get to take those with us. And what are the pictures that we want to take? What are the moments that we want to capture through our eyes, this camera that's, I believe, recording all of this? I'm sure it won't be that when we are at the end of this life, that we're wishing that we rushed more. We're wishing we were busier. We're wishing we were more productive with our day. Now, sucking the tea bag doesn't necessarily mean, right, let's get up at 4 a.m., do however much exercise and do all the things and just schedule our day from like 4 a.m. At 4 a.m., let's bang the microphone there, 4 a.m. through to, whatever time it is that you go to bed, and schedule everything rigidly to fill it all up and jam it all in, and so then we can feel like, oh, we really sucked the tea bag. It's not around filling our time with all these things to make us feel productive as humans, but rather about being really in your body, in the moments of your life, being intentional, bringing awareness to how you're feeling at any given moment, checking in as much as possible, ideally ensuring that every day there's something of wonder. There's something in your day where you're touched by the beauty of this world, an interaction with another human, being in nature, taking some time with yourself in solitude, quietly connecting with ourselves. It's not easy to do these things in a world where the temptation to be distracted by external things is absolutely phenomenal in terms of how available distractions are to us in every form. Print media, social media, television, podcasts, all the things. And I know I've spoken about this tension that we have now where humans are just filling every moment with something, watching something, listening to something. And I would suggest that very few humans are taking time in their day to just sit and be with themselves, because it can be scary. It can be easier just to distract ourselves. And if this was a video and not an audio, I would do a demonstration of what I remember my older brother, shout out to Paulie, if you're listening. I remember him demonstrating this to me probably 15 years ago. He was awake before me. He was very much on the path and interested in the bigger questions. And I remember he stood up and he was running around in circles, like frantically, and saying, this is what humans are like, running over here, running over there, and looking at this and that and this and this and this, because they don't dare to want to sit down with themselves. And this is a man who has done countless Vipassana meditations, which is the 10-day silent meditation retreat. I've only done one. I don't know, he's done so many of them, where you really just have to sit with yourself and to really connect with yourself. And the reason I'm talking about that when I talk about sucking the tea bag of life is that I feel like if we get to the end of our life and the inner world has largely been ignored, not been explored, avoided, then I feel, and I might be wrong, that there may be this sense of, oh, did I really suck the tea bag of that one human incarnation, that one experience where I got to be, whoever you are, in this time-space dimension of this realm that we call Earth. And so I'm very conscious of how I want to feel on my deathbed And I was listening to something recently how there were theologians in the past who would have a skull on their desk to remind them of imminent death, and then each and every one of us will die. And really having that front and center to feel that we've lived without regrets, like really gone all in, not held ourselves back. And if there are things that you know in your heart that you'd love to experience in this realm, then seize the day. Like, how good is that movie, Dead Poets Society? Seize the day, right? None of us, we don't know. We don't have a guarantee on any hour, any future number of days here in this realm. So what are the things that you want to do to suck the tea bag of your life even more, even more, even more, even more, even more? And more doesn't always have to be going out and doing heaps of different things. More could actually be saying no to a whole lot of things that you don't want to do, that you continue to say yes to out of obligation and expectation and guilt. And instead, you start saying yes to the things that really fill your cup, that really bring you joy, that really boost you, that really nourish you. And the more you say no to all the other stuff, the more this opens up space and time for you. And it may be space and time to sit on the couch and to read your book. Maybe more space and time to give yourself more deep rest, so that when you are on, you can be fully on and not feeling exhausted, lethargic, worn down, kind of dragging through life. So dream big. What are the things? And not only big, but small too. Like, what are the daily moments of awe that you can have? Whether it's having a little cuddle with your dog, looking into the eyes of a child, noticing the change of seasons around you. I feel like for such a long time, I was so disconnected that I wouldn't even notice really the changes in weather that much. I wouldn't notice when suddenly, the flowers had popped out and all of these things. Whereas I feel like now everything is much more alive. And the moment that I felt that most was after I had the washing line experience, after I had my spontaneous channeling start. I remember I went to Moomba. Those of you who are from Melbourne in Australia, we have a festival every March, and there's rides and lots of different things, like a mini little show kind of thing. And I remember being at Moomba in 2012, and it must have been, literally just straight after the washing line experience, like within a couple of days of that. And everything was brighter. The colours of things had changed. It's like someone had changed the station for me, and I could feel the connection with everyone. I remember just being like in absolute awe, just walking around Moomba and watching interactions between people and just feeling all of the energy of those interactions taking place. And everything was bright. Suddenly, I felt everything so much more deeply. And it was a noticeable change. I felt like I'd been dropped into a different just a different land. Where it's like I was still here in this realm, but things looked different. Things felt different. The connection between everything and everyone just felt so real. So those times where you just get in the zone, where time just goes away and you just feel like you're humming. Things are humming. Things are just moving. Things are flowing. And as much as we can, if we can move away from the pushing into the allowing, the flowing, really feeling the energy running through us and inspiring us as to where we want to go next, what we want to do next, and not knowing, like this stepping unknowingly into the unknown of our day, our week, our month. And that's not always easy, right? Because you might have a full-time job and you say, good on you, Leash, but I can't just like flow from day to day, from moment to moment. I have to do certain things and be certain places at certain times. Yes, but there are times that you do have a greater level of freedom. And how are we using those times? Is there any space in your diary, in your calendar, where you could just block out some time for flow, where you don't have anything scheduled, you don't have anything planned, and you literally can just feel into your body and just allow yourself to be guided by your internal guidance system? I'd love you to try this. Anyone who does, please let me know. I did it recently where I had booked some time in my diary where I was supposed to be away and things changed, but I had still booked it out. So I did go away for part of the time, but then I had like a free day when nothing was in my calendar and I just flowed. I went from here to there without any set plans or agenda, just literally following my heart of what I felt like doing next. And it was a pure delight, pure delight to be able to do that. So even in your busy life, even if you work full time, even if you have to book it out in a month's time, please do me a favor and find that time for you to start to really practice more and more listening to the internal guidance system, listening to the inner voice, listening to the yearnings of your soul that want more for you. And it may be that the things that your soul wants more of may be very different to what your human, often our kind of conditioned way of being wants to focus on. I've said this before, but the soul often will be follow the joy, follow the fun, be playful, not taking any of this too seriously, taking some more risks, diving right in to your life and saying the things that you want to say, not holding back, sharing your love for others, telling them how much you love them, how much they mean to you, not holding back. So, my friends, I think I'm going to wrap it up now. As I keep saying in every other episode, I'm going to do a short episode. I'm going to do like 20 minutes. And then I get in this room in my house, microphone, and on I go, just having a grand old time, chatting away to you all. And then I look up and it's like 50 minutes has gone past. So I'm going to finish it there. The key messages are Suck the tea bag of life. And that doesn't always mean sucking all the good stuff. There's going to be plenty in our life that is harrowing, that can feel unbearable. But just sitting in that, going through all of it, experiencing all of it, and not trying to numb ourselves out to those parts of the experience of being in a human form. Because, as I've said, and I'll say it again, we came for all of it. We came for all of it. So take good care, and thank you for tuning in. Thank you for continuing to, many of you are reaching out to me and giving your little feedback and things like that. So I appreciate all of the people, all of you who have taken the time to listen. I've got some really, really amazing guests lined up, starting to record lots of interviews with incredible guests that I'm really excited to share with you in the coming weeks as well. So that's going to be good. So keep on. Well, you may not have previously known about this concept of sucking the tea bag, but please, when you have a moment where you could potentially suck the tea bag out of that moment, I say yes, go for it. Go for it, my love. Take good care of yourself. Continue to love yourself deeply and look after yourself. Share your love with your friends, with your family, with all the strangers, with everyone you meet. We are at a time in the evolution of this realm where the extension of love is very, very well needed and appreciated by this earth. So the more that we can extend that love, the more we can flow that beautiful, energetic deliciousness back into our realm. Okay, friends, take care. Love you. Bye. Actually, before I sign off, my final retreat, I've still got some rooms available if you want to come and join. It's a silent retreat. All the information will be in the show notes as well. Some time to have some connection back with your soul, my love, and help the nervous system to have a beautiful deep rest. Okay, thank you. Bye. I had to jump in. I know I said goodbye to you, but I had to jump in with this postscript because it was so funny. After I recorded that podcast about, going with the flow and letting kids do all the things and they're our teachers and all of that, I got a reality check, a reminder about the fact that if we do all of those things, it's going to involve potentially more work for us and more opportunities for patience and trying not to lose our minds. Those of you who are parents or if you care for kids or all the things. So after school today, I picked up my kids and a couple of their little friends wanted to come over for a play date. And I was downstairs and they were playing and I heard something around, we've got to clean this mess up or something. And I thought, okay, I better go and check out what's going on. And for most of my adult life, I have had furniture that I've kind of not been super precious about, and we've had tables that people have painted on and all the things, right? Because I grew up like that. I grew up in a house where the table kind of had the markings of sometimes the pen had gone in too far and you could almost see some of the homework written into the table. And I just remember thinking as a kid, it's just got so much in this table, so many moments, and really a family living and not like a display home. But then more recently, as I'm like almost 47 now, I kind of got a bit over that kind of furniture living situation. I'm like, I'm going to buy a nice new wooden table that I'm going to look after, and it's not going to be kids doing all their things on it. So I've actually got like this big piece of plastic that I put over this table when the kids want to do all their stuff, so that I can just keep it nice. So when people come around for dinner, it's like I can take it off and the table just doesn't look like it lives in a kindergarten. Anyway, long story short, I went upstairs and there is paint, honestly, from one end of this table to another. These kids were trying to paint these little slithers of wood, so they had to kind of move it around and around. Anyway, it ended up mostly on the table, all over the place. And I said to my 8-year-old, Ella, you know that I like to put the plastic on when you are wanting to do paint or stuff like that. And she's like, oh yeah, but we were just having so much fun. I forgot. And I was just laughing at myself thinking, okay, Leash, this is what you've just put out to the universe in your earlier podcast. And now you also have to deal with the ramifications of the reality of kids being so in the moment. And it reminded me of another thing where her and her little brother, Sammy, they have had these times in the bath which has jets putting bubbles in, and literally my bathroom just covered in bubbles all over the place, all over the walls, all over the floor. And I come in and Ella looks at me, or it was Sam. Sam looks at me, he's like, okay, Mum, we got a little bit carried away. And I know it's like, oh my goodness, all the cleanup, all the mess, all the things. And I'm not saying just be completely free range and just let your kids run amok. But in the way that sometimes we pick our battles with things, also maybe with the fun, like in terms of our fun police, also pick the battles there and let them go for it sometimes, and know that the stark reality is going to be lots of scrubbing, lots of washing, lots of all the things, right? But it goes fast. And whenever I'm kind of starting to get a bit huffy around the whole mundane nature of the amount of cleaning, cooking, all the things, I just have to remind myself, there'll be times in the future, and some of you listening, you might be at that point where it's all finished in terms of having other people that you're caring for, and you've got this pristine house, everything in its place, everything staying in its place a whole day and not getting turned upside down, to then think, oh, look back on those times of the mess and the chaos and how alive things maybe felt. So friends, that's my little postscript that I just had to add to this. Take care out there in the wide, wide world. Thanks, loves. Bye. So grateful to you for listening. I'd love you to share this. If you got value, rate and review my podcast so I can reach more humans. For loads of free resources, go to aliciatemmerman.com, and that'll take you to my offerings in spaces I play in, my spiritual wellness business, retreats, one-on-ones and other things. Also, I love working with couples, so check out the Marriage Hub. Finally, I have been an employment lawyer for over 20 years now, and I work in workplace mediation, conflict resolution, and mediation in other areas too. DUMAIS, D-U-M-A-I-S, Workplace Services is where you'll find all that info. I love you. Take good care of you.